Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Choecast. I am your beloved English teacher who has definitely lost her mind at this point. I'm recording this, I don't know what the date is. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday, May 2nd. On Saturday, May 2nd. And how are y'all doing? Uh, me, I'm alive, clearly healthy. Thank goodness. This space up here, though, I'm not sure how healthy I would call it. The topic that I kind of wanted to talk about today is I think I've talked about this in class, and I think usually this time of year I really go into the nitty-gritty about this stuff, but for obvious reasons, we are all not in school right now together. So I figured this would be the time for me to give you that talk anyway. So there are multiple reasons why I'm bringing this up. The first reason being I've had more than one student message me and say, Miss, is it true that we have to repeat the school year? Miss, is it true that all the schools are going to shut down until 3 years from now? I'm like, where are you getting this information? They're like, oh, I just heard it on the news. What news? Did you read it somewhere on a screenshot someone reposted on Instagram? Did you listen to the radio? Did you watch TV? Did you hear it from somebody who said that they watched it on the news? Because that's very different from seeing it on the news yourself. The second reason why is my dad is currently watching nothing but Fox News 24/7. He claims to be watching CNN and BBC and Fox News equally, but I know for a fact that that's not true. When you get to be my age, you know when your parents are lying to you. Right around this age, you're going to be like, oh, my parents always know when I'm lying to them. They always catch me. As you get older, it's the opposite. Your parents will lie to you, and you'll be like, that's a load of horseshit. How the tables have turned. That really got me thinking that, I feel like you'd think that with so much information and news available to people, they would take more care to actually figure out where the heck that news is coming from. But I feel like as information gets easier to get, people stop caring to look it up as much. They just kind of take it for granted. I'm not going to get political on this because, I mean, if you've had me this year, you can probably guess where politically I might skew. I have never made a big show about, oh, well, this is what I am, but it kind of comes out when I'm talking. I'm not here to bash one side or the other. What I am going to say is that both sides are equally wrong. And here's why. A lot of people think that the news is 100% just about information, but it's really not. The news companies who are making the content, making the articles, making the videos, making the TV shows, they're all owned by companies. And those companies are not nonprofit organizations. The news sites that you look at, the channel, whatever news that you watch, they might act like they're doing it for nonprofit just for information, but ultimately they're owned by somebody who's looking to make money. So those someones who want to make money are going to have the news outlets that they own say things in a way that's going to be beneficial to them. So for example, if you are a company who produces weapons, that's your main form of profit, and you own or you somehow have influence over what a news outlet does, you're going to want to put stuff in the news that makes you look better and isn't going to hurt your sales. So for example, you might not want to show as much stuff on gun control. Maybe you want to show more on the news about war and how many American troops killed how many enemy soldiers, and look what a great job they're doing. And it kind of plants this idea in people's minds of, oh, well, weapons are good. That's a good thing. It's an American freedom. Thank goodness we can own weapons. Whereas if you're a company that, you own a news outlet and you're very against that, then you're going to want to spin it in that opposite direction there. This is kind of, it always becomes kind of a downer when you look at this, but ultimately all the news companies, all the news outlets in America are owned by very, very, very few amount of people. It looks like there's a billion different places where news comes from, but ultimately multiple of those sites are owned by the same person. So that's why sometimes when you look at local news, they're covering things in similar ways or they use similar language. It might be because they're owned by the same people. And that's not to say that that means that they're liars, because a lot of times those news outlets are going to try their best to say what is true, to the best of their ability. But I'm just saying that you need to take everything with a grain of salt because everybody has a hidden agenda. That newscaster, that, the people working in that newsroom, they might want to tell you exactly how things are, but it might be that their boss says you can't do that. You need to spin it this way. So you always have to kind of keep in mind that there's a whole other world kind of going on in the background that we don't necessarily know about. And my dad, he's very strong on what he believes. My mom always describes my dad this way. She says that he doesn't see the world as it could be in the middle. Everything is black or white. It's either right or wrong, good or bad. My dad is very unhappy with a certain news outlet lately because he says that they're always criticizing the president, that they always have something bad to say. They're always so nasty and they always take things out of context. And so I asked him, what do you think the news is for? He's like, well, they should be reporting about the truth. I was like, but what if the truth is that he is wrong? And he's like, well, the news should talk, say good things about the leaders. They shouldn't be criticizing them. And I was like, but it's the news's job to criticize people. The reason why we're so lucky in this country is because we have freedom of press. People can say what they want to say. I mean, that doesn't excuse, hate speech and Nazis. Don't bring that in my house on this fine day. But what I'm talking about is that if a news site runs a story, they can't be assassinated. They can't be threatened by the government because the government doesn't like what they're doing. We have the freedom of press. We have the right to say what we want to say. And if we want to criticize a leader, we are protected by our rights to be able to do that. Part of the beauty of the news is that the news is allowed to criticize whoever they need to. And my dad gets very upset because he goes, well, the news shouldn't be so negative about the president. They have to check him. Thank God they can check him, because if every news outlet had to say good job to every politician, then there wouldn't really be much freedom. You don't really get a nuanced set of views. So my dad only watches one channel, really. He lies to me, but he watches one channel, and it's all very pro-president, pro-president, pro-president. And I kind of tried to explain to him that they are going to spin things the way they want to spin it, and then the opposite side is going to spin things very much against the president, but neither side really offers a clear point of view, though, because the people that are against certain politicians are always going to find a way to be against them, and the people that defend certain politicians are going to defend them till they die. What is really important in today's day and age is that you can't just rely on one source of information. You really need to mix and match. It's like, people are going to roast me. It's like going to Chipotle. If you go to Chipotle, you don't just order the rice and that's it. What kind of sad life is that? When you go, you get your rice, right? You get your beans. If you don't get beans in your Chipotle burrito bowl, you're wrong. You choose the kind of meat you want. Maybe you want 2 types of meat. Whatever, pay the extra. You're a baller. You want to get the different kinds of salsa. You want to get the different vegetables. Do you want cheese? Do you want guac? Do you want whatever? At the end of it, you get this bowl that's a mix of a lot of different things that wouldn't taste as good if it wasn't a good mixture, if it's not a good balance. So watching the news is sort of similar to the experience. If you just take from one source of information, it's like a burrito bowl with just rice. You're not getting everything you need. It's not going to be as good for you, and it sure as hell doesn't taste good. You don't get all the realities. I used to say that, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, I'm busy. Like, I can make my own decisions. What happened was, when I was in college, I started to just rely on one source of information for all my news, and I found myself getting very polarized. When something is polarized, is it kind of leans really heavily to one side and it becomes kind of extreme. So in one sense, polarization is not necessarily bad, because that means that you're very strongly opinionated. That's not necessarily evil, but when you become polarized, you become extreme. And when you become extreme, you stop looking at reality and you just start relying on your feelings and your biases and your prejudices. When I was in college, I thought I was this hot shit little social justice warrior, and I said, "Oh, these old people, these types of people, they don't understand. They don't know what it's like." And then as I got a little bit older, I went, "Oh, wait, no. Okay, that side that I thought was evil actually has some legitimate concerns, and I'm not saying I agree with them, but I think it's worth listening." And then as I learned more and more, I realized, oh, I'm not so crazy extreme to one side. I'm actually a little bit more in the middle somewhere. And so this is going to be a big thing when you get older. People are going to be the people who are very political go, "Oh, what party do you vote? What party are you registered as?" They're like, "Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican?" Like, listen, I don't care what I'm registered as. I registered as that when I was 18. But the way that I vote now is very like, I can't really say that I'm one or the other because it depends on the person. It depends on the issues. It depends on what I'm looking at. Am I looking at local government, like when I'm voting for my town for the local board of ed or local representatives, or am I looking at the governor, the senators, that kind of stuff? It really depends from person to person. And I've stopped really looking at, oh, this person is from my party, therefore I choose them, because that's, I think I said this before, one size fits all doesn't actually fit all. So this kind of goes out back to this idea of the news. In the same way, if you just say, oh, I think that I'm from this side of politics and I'm only going to look at that news, you're only getting a very small percent of all the information. And people are going to leave out information that make them look bad, and they're going to focus on information that makes them look good, or they're going to twist facts and try to spin them in the way that are going to make, are going to serve some kind of agenda. What I'm saying is, do not vilify certain news outlets and say they are pure evil, they're only bad, because when you other people that don't necessarily believe the same things and think the same things as you, you're cutting off a way to communicate with them. I have plenty of friends who are really, really, really liberal, and I have plenty of friends that are super conservative, and then I have friends that are kind of in the middle. And what I've noticed is that when we talk politics, and here's a life lesson, don't bring up politics in a casual group setting unless you want to start a fight. If one of my friends does bring up politics, I've seen that the reason why a lot of people fight is because when you ask them where they get their information, they usually just get it from one certain type of area. And that becomes really dangerous because you stop seeing other people's information as possible and valid. You start to see it as wrong and bad. And that's a really crappy way to live your life, because then you're just going to go around fighting with everyone who doesn't think like you. I'm pretty young. I'm a person of color, and so people I think expect me to have certain points of view when it comes to politics in the world, and I do for a lot of them. But then there's other stuff where I'm kind of a little bit different from what people might expect. People go, "How could you say that? How do you?" Well, I didn't just believe one news outlet, because if I believed one news outlet, my point of view would be kind of cookie cutter. It'd be what the news outlet would want me to say. Because I get my information from multiple points of view, I can then pick and choose what is going to fit me. Just because you like a shirt from one shop doesn't mean that you're going to like the pants there. You might want to go somewhere else to get your pants. And I'm not going to buy my shoes where I buy my pants. I'm going to go somewhere else for that. So in the same way, you guys need to start to think about where you get your information, and you need to start to make judgments on, is this really what I think, or is this what I think people want me to think? Should I try to look at the other side and try to understand why they're saying things like that? I think that's something that doesn't necessarily come with age. I look at certain adults in my life that are more adulty than me, older than me, and I look at them and I kind of shake my head. I'm like, why are you like that? Why are you so narrow-minded? So I don't think this is something that comes with age naturally. I think a lot of things that we worry about and things that are issues in our lives, they kind of resolve themselves with time, but I don't think that our views on the news and politics are really things that naturally come to us. I think we need to actively work to be able to be careful about what we let feed us and what we kind of put out into the world based on that. Oh, yeah. Reposts and memes are kind of one of the most dangerous things to be looking at. When somebody takes a screenshot of an article and puts it up on Instagram and you like it and you repost it, a lot of times they don't include the source of the information or the date of the information. So, for example, let's say that somebody wants to make a politician look like an idiot. What they'll do is in January, when nobody was taking the COVID-19 outbreak seriously, they are going to find an article where a certain politician might have said, oh, well, it's not a big deal. We'll be fine. And then they'll post that without the date and they'll say, can you believe what this person said? Versus if you wanted to show a politician as being more with it than they really are, then maybe you'll take something that they said really recently and say, you post it and then you say, oh, this person has always been really on this issue, has really always been in favor of this. But without the real the link, the live link, you can't really trust anything. So I think a really important thing that I've learned is that whenever I'm talking to people, and even if it's someone that I trust and that I know well, if they say something and it even 1%, it sounds kind of, I don't know. I myself haven't seen that before. I'll ask them, hey, can you drop a link? Because most of our talking is done through text or, like a video chat or something like that. So it's very easy to say, hey, can you drop a link right in the chat? Just do it right now. And if they can't do it, then you'll say, well, if you don't have the source, then where are you getting this from? And they'll say, oh, well, I got it from so and so who said this, and they heard it from their mom. And then you start to unravel, oh, okay, I don't know if I can trust you. If people can drop links, then, go in and actually read it for yourself. This is a really big thing. Did you guys know this? You know how sometimes in the news you'll get all these really weird trends where one day they'll say, oh, chocolate is really good for you. And then a week later they say it causes cancer and you're going to die, right? I wondered, why is it that that's true? And it turns out that a lot of news sites will read like the title and then the little summary of some kind of scientific study or some kind of article, and they won't actually go in to read the full thing. So they'll take things out of context too, and then they'll report on that little 1% that they think they know and not actually do their research. So just like how people will just believe the news by reading the title, the repost, and not really do their research, not every news site is created equal. Not every site is as reliable and is accurate. So do your research. If you're reading something and it's shocking, if it sounds crazy to you, it might actually be crazy. You might want to actually look it up and do a little bit of research in the background there. That being said, I'm not here to change your view on politics. I don't really care what your politics are, what your personal beliefs are. That's really your business and not really mine. I'm not here to take out a big stick and beat you with it because you don't believe in the things I believe in. But I'm just saying that it will serve you better to try to see both sides and then make your decisions rather than just say, I'm gonna be this kind of person because I think it's right. Do your research. It'll take an extra 10 minutes out of your day and you'll be better informed. And if somebody has any reason to challenge you, you're not going to sit there like a dumbass going, I don't know. You'll be able to say, actually, according to this article that I can send to you, according to this news clip that I can send to you, this is actually what I have decided based on what I saw. And then people are going to go, oh shit, you actually know your stuff. Okay, maybe I should do my research too. So just like how stupidity is kind of infectious, the choice to be informed is actually infectious too if you think about it. Today was a little bit dry, but being at home and listening to my father rant about politics, I needed to get this out in the universe somewhere. And I figured you guys might be going through something similar. So it might be nice for you to kind of get this rundown on this. I am not an expert, so don't cite me on things like this, but I would say that I have lived a few years longer than you. So this is just kind of what I've seen from living my life and managing not to punch anybody during discussions about politics. So that's got to say something about me. I think that this is going to be going up on Monday. I kind of have a schedule worked out now. So I believe that Friday, what I'm going to try to do is the first Friday of every month. So this month, this Friday, and then the first Friday of June, I'm going to try to do first chapter Fridays, which is something that I wanted to do for forever. And look, now we have time now that we're stuck at home. So what I'll do is I'm going to pick a few different books and then I'm going to read the first chapter of the book. And I may or may not talk about how I feel about them, but we'll see how the runtime is. If you have any requests for books, like there's a book that you've wanted to read and you can't get your hands on it, let me know. Shouldn't be that hard to get a book at this point. I'm pretty sure they still have books. I don't think they've used them for toilet paper yet. So let me know, email me, text me, put a comment here and say, Miss, I want to hear about this book. Okay, as long as it's School of Propes and it's not impossible to find, like there's only 3 copies in the world, I will do my best to try to get it for you. Stay safe, everybody. Please keep yourself away from those nasty people. I know that the parks are reopened, I believe, starting, over the weekend. So if you do go out, I think it's nice to get some fresh air, but please do be careful, practice social distancing. Even if your friends that you love and you haven't seen in forever want to meet up, be careful. Don't, run into their embrace and hug them and kiss them. It's no good. And if possible, please do wear a mask. It might be uncomfortable to talk with a mask on, but it is much more uncomfortable to get sick at this point. So please be careful. If you don't have a mask like I do, then wear a scarf, find some way to cover up your face if you have to go out. Just be careful. I'm very worried that, in the warmer weather, people are going to stop being as careful, and then more people can get sick, actually. So please do take care of yourselves. I'm thinking about you a lot, and I miss you. Yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye.